Breakneck is a 2025 work of cultural and political analysis by the Chinese-American author Wang. Wang was born in China in 1992. When he was 7, his parents emigrated to Canada. He grew up to become an expert in Chinese-American relations and gained a fellowship at Yale, then at Stanford. Breakneck is his first book, and in the interests of transparency, I should mention that I received a free copy in exchange for an impartial review. It'll be published by Penguin on the 26th of August 2025. It examines the rivalry between China and America by considering the different paths each country has taken to arrive at its current position and asking how far those paths are likely to lead to increased human flourishing. At its heart is the thesis that China is an engineering society. It places its primary emphasis on manufacturing, whereas America is a loyalty society, putting its chief emphasis on strict conformity to legal procedures. The first chapter presents that thesis in detail. Wang argues that America has been hamstrung by proceduralism. Lawyers have much more scope with the law to stop something rather than create something, he writes. This obsession with process over outcomes has made Americans lose faith that the government can meaningfully improve their lives. The engineers versus lawyers characterization isn't just figurative. Engineering graduates have dominated China's government since at least the 1980s. Xi Jinping qualified as a chemical engineer, and in 2022 he filled the Politburo with executives from the aerospace and weapons industries. Wang comments, in the United States, it would be as if the CEO of Boeing became the governor of Alaska. The chief of Lockheed Martin became the Secretary of Energy, and the head of NASA was the governor of Georgia. By contrast, many top American politicians, Democrat and Republican, have achieved high office via law school. Chapters 2 and 3 look at the strengths of the engineering society. China's top-down approach has led to huge infrastructure benefits and massive technological strides. The Communist Party even decided to nip the rise of social media in the bud because it thought it might replace material progress. Wang sympathises. In the final chapter, he laments that Americans seem to have given up on urban planning in favour of funneling the country's abundant talent into creating new virtual worlds. Is that the trade Americans want? He asks. Those two chapters could well leave the reader thinking that China's economic, political and military hegemony is, in the medium to long term, inevitable. However, chapters 3 and 4 paint a different picture. The problem with the engineering society, Wang argues, is that politically powerful engineers tend to see social problems as engineering problems, and people as parts of a machine. Hence China's disastrous one-child policy and its equally calamitous zero-COVID program. Nowadays, Wang thinks Beijing's microengineering is crushing business confidence and driving creative intellectuals abroad. Chapter 6, Fortress China, looks at the phenomenon of rune, a Chinese slang word coined during the pandemic to mean the desire to get away, and which Wang links to Xi Jinping's increasing authoritarianism. Popular emigration destinations are Singapore, Japan and Thailand. Being creative is hard in China because censorship can never be discounted. Wang points out that given China's size and muscle, the absence of any Chinese equivalent of K-pop, anime and manga ought to look puzzling. Much of this book is partly autobiographical, but the last chapter especially. Wang's parents emigrated to the West. Was it worth it? They're not entirely sure, and neither is he. Although most of this book is about China, the author does return to the Loyalty Society in the final chapter. He argues that America should gently unwind the dominance of lawyers and recover its manufacturing capacity. It needs more homes and more infrastructure. To overcome the Loyalty Society, it must, 1, remember that it has a heritage of engineering, and 2, elevate a greater diversity of voices among its elites. Which is the only part of the book that left me feeling seriously underwhelmed. I can't help but wonder whether a fully loyally society like the USA can ever transition away from being loyally without some kind of violent eruption. Otherwise, won't the lawyers just intervene to stall it? They're numerous, they know exactly how the system works, they have a strong vested interest in maintaining the status quo, and in a society supposedly characterised by the rule of law, they probably possess a decisive amount of power. I couldn't help feeling that in the end, the question of whether China or America comes out top will depend largely on which of them fails the least. Can China uncouple its engineering character from its heavy-handed interventionism? I doubt it. Can America's lawyers accept a transition away from procedural inertia? I doubt it. Given democracy's tendency to elevate fools to high office, however, I think China may have the advantage. This is an important book. Apart from anything else, it's also philosophical. It doesn't just look at the rivalry between the two countries, but considers the things any modern society must do if it wants to achieve success. The discussion of process knowledge in Chapter 3 is especially thought-provoking. There isn't time to consider it here, but of course in a few days' time you'll be able to buy the book for yourself.